Oh hey, hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and welcome back to another video where I cast some StarCraft. Is that an acceptable intro? I'm pretty sure I'm triggering at least a couple of you right now. Today it's time for a best of 3 series of top-level Terran versus Protoss, and while I thought that this SCV was gonna be tasked with building a supply depot on top of the ramp, apparently our Terran player wants to start off this particular match with a bang. So spawning here in the top right-hand corner of Oxide Alley, playing with the red Terran SCVs, we have ByuN. Now ByuN for a while, after coming back from the military, at least in a lot of the games that I saw, he was almost exclusively playing macro, but for some reason he's recently started doing this shenanigans once again. Now historically speaking, he's had a lot of success with this type of build order. Protoss is going to be sending out a probe, but it's going in the wrong direction. Speaking of which, playing with the blue Protoss pieces, also from South Korea and also one of the highest ranked pro players on the planet. Someone who I actually don't feature nearly as much as he deserves. I'll actually talk a little bit more about him when this game, you know, stabilizes, if it will. But playing here with the blue Protoss probes, we have Zoun. Alrighty, so Zoun is going to be able to send that probe across the map, and you will see the lack of barracks right here on top of the ramp, right? This is going to give him a little bit of intel. You should see the timing right here, yep, of the gas geyser as well. So this at the very least should give him a little bit of info that something is not quite right. He's checking around the main base as well. Obviously, you never know with Terran players. They can just plant those barracks wherever they want. It could also just be a singular one right over here, right? Just to try and throw Zoun off a little bit. He is scouting a lot. Yeah, he is scouting a lot on the side of the Terran player. And he knows he's playing up against ByuN, or he's playing against ByuN, right? So he knows that there is definitely the opportunity for this. Alright, Martin the Marine has already popped out. Luckily here for Zoun, he didn't plant down the Nexus yet, because that could be a disaster. Cybercore is going to be coming up very soon. No second gas yet either, though, so he doesn't want to plant down the Nexus here relatively soon. He decides to pull a couple of the probes away from the mineral line. This is just a double barracks cheese, so it's not like it's super committed here by ByuN either. You can always follow this up with a factory at home if he wants to. Shield battery comes up, and it is going to be a Stalker, of course, as a follow-up here. I actually like that shield battery a lot. Yeah, that shield battery is going to obviously also heal units on the low ground here. You got to minimize the amount of workers you lose. Stalker is out right now. That one can start poking and prodding. Okay. Ooh, I actually thought he was going to be able to finish off that Marine. Obviously, the bunker, by the way, cannot finish. Right, the bunker finishing here would be quite bad. Okay. 2 probes, 2 SCVs. Bunker finishes, well, almost 99% or so. All of the SCVs, though, that were here are gone right now. So I think this should be okay. So Zoun is one of those players who I feel like is still a little bit underrated. And I know that's maybe not fair if you watch a lot of Korean StarCraft 2. But at the very least, if you watch, you know, maybe only my YouTube channel or maybe... You guys only watch my YouTube channel, right? You wouldn't just cheat on me with other casters. Would you? No, but Zoun, I mean, he's had a lot of success, especially over the last year or so. So if you look at his Aligulek graph ever since, I think it's like 2019, late 2019 or so. Look at that. He is probably the fastest improving Protoss player on the planet. And I know there's a couple players like that, but there's no denying that Zoun is looking ridiculously good. He's actually now planting a gateway on the other side of the map. Kind of like it, man. Apparently fighting fire with fire here. Obviously, a command center here from ByuN is going to be quite late. Yeah, this should be a pretty good start right here for Zoun. So spoiler alert, by the way, for the GSL Super Tournament that took place over the course of the last couple of days. Right? Are you muted? Alright. Zoun got 2nd place at that, which is very impressive. So he's now gotten 2nd place at the Super Tournament twice. In order to make it to the Grand Finals, he took down Dark, he took down Rogue, and he took down SOS. Now, those 3 players have one thing in common, and that is that they are all previous world champions of StarCraft 2. SOS even twice, right? So, yeah, he took down top-level players to make it to the Grand Finals. Sadly for him, he did end up going down to Trap, another top-tier Protoss player, of course. And I almost feel like we have a bit of a new generation of Protoss players, especially with a lot of the top-level guys that play Protoss forced to go to the military soon over in Korea. Yeah, we've got players like, for example, Trap and Zoun that I wouldn't be surprised at all will probably continue carrying the Protoss race over in South Korea. They're looking ridiculous. Anyways, a little bit of aggression over here. He's going to get the high ground vision, and with that as well, that supply depot. We did see a medevac moving out. There are 2 Widow Mines in there, which I think would be very helpful to have at home as well. Anyways, let's see how much damage can be done. Okay, good pull right there. Yep, shouldn't really be any damage. Very nice. Yeah, it's that weird decision that you have to make as a Terran player, right? You want to get more than one worker. You want to also deny as much mining time as possible. Oh my god, this is so obnoxious. Alright, eventually this will be cleaned up, but that was a ByuN move to a T, right? That was still way more damage and lost mining time than the average Terran player would have gotten there. I like it, especially since he was at a lot of pressure here at home, losing a couple supply depots and all that. Anyways, he is stabilizing right now. I don't know who, I feel like I'm hyping up Zoun a lot, but I don't know obviously who ends up winning this series, but I hope he can live up to the hype I've just given him, because otherwise it would be a little bit disappointing. Nah, but he's looking really good. At the very least, remember the name. Zoun, certainly one of the best Protoss players on the planet. The only downside of Zoun is that there's a lot of people that pronounce his name very differently. So I've heard people say Zone, right? So at some point his name was, I've mentioned this before in a previous cast, but at some point his name was written like that into the zone, right? That's what I would have thought, but apparently it's actually, I don't know. At least in Dutch, the OU, hold up, we're losing a couple probes apparently. I think the Banshee's going it down. I was going to teach you guys another Dutch lesson, but 5 probes for a Banshee, I guess, is definitely, yeah, acceptable. Widowmine comes in right now as well, a natural expansion. Can I go back to my Dutch lesson now, ByuN? Please, man. Have some respect. No, so the O and the U right next to each other in Dutch would be pronounced as an ow. So in my mind, when I read that, I immediately see Zoun, and I know a lot of other players are calling him that as well, but I've heard people even do something like John, or I don't know, man. It's one of those names that's difficult to pronounce. I'm just gonna settle on Zoun, okay? I'm making my stance. Unless everyone disagrees at some point and everyone agrees, all the other casters. Even though you guys don't watch those, right? Because it's only me that you watch, obviously. No, unless everyone else decides that. It's apparently a different pronunciation that you're supposed to go with. I don't think Zoun himself probably cares very much. Maybe we should just refer to him as Z-Dog. Z-Dog, once again, off the leash. Let's see what he ends up. I'm not cool enough to talk like that. Nah. He's gonna go for the third Nexus right over here, okay? I like it. Going for the Twilight as well as that Fort is a follow-up. I mean, he already had the Twilight, obviously, going for that Blink upgrade. Alright. That's just Zoun right there showing that he had the Blink upgrade, okay? Just to give me some more credit in my commentary. Now, he's just checking how many siege tanks there are. And spoiler alert, there are too many. You cannot really do anything there, Mr. Protoss. He sees the siege tanks on the high ground right now as well. Or he sees the siege tanks right now on the high ground as well, so he knows that he cannot go in there. This should be, yeah, definitely an army that ByuN can push with, right? Look at the supply count actually right now. Army heavily in favor of the Protoss, or sorry, of the Terran player. 65 versus 36 supply. This is also a scary army because he just finished up Stimpack and Combat Shield. That being said, Zoun does have Disruptors here. Actually, well, he's making... No, he does have one. I was going to say, I thought I saw one on the production tab already. You can definitely pull rabbits out of hats. So look at this guy. He's hiding. I like it. Gravitic Drive is coming up as well, so that's going to make microing those guys a little bit easier. Look at that cheeky little Disruptor. Oh my god. Oh! 3 of them taking a big hit. Second Disruptor coming in from the side as well. Yeah, the siege tanks though. Yeah, they need to be above, 0 health in order to be useful. So as long as they have at least one, I think ByuN doesn't really mind this all too much. Especially since this position is going to be very difficult to break. Impressive split right there, by the way, by ByuN as well. I mean, that was last possible second. I mean, it didn't work, but it is very difficult to split slow units, right? Alright, so this is what makes this map so hard. Oh, I like it. Was that a bait? Do you think he purposefully did not siege those up? Probably. Pulled a couple of SCVs as well, now that he knows that the Purification Nova is going to be on cooldown. He's decided to continue fighting here. ByuN playing this very strategically. There you go, lifting up the units just barely in time. Okay, here goes the Stimpack though. He's trying to pick up one of these. He's not going to be able to. A couple of the Marines and Marauders end up going down. There are a couple of Zealots on the minimap set up as well to go in for a flank. So I think he's going to commit at this point. I mean, those siege tanks, they certainly pack a punch. Although They can be hit right here by the Stalkers from the other side of the rocks. And I do think, actually, that Zoun is right now, yeah, gonna be able to clean all of this up. Blink. Okay, gets a medivac. Nicely done. Careful, 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 Mr. Protoss. Yep, new siege tanks are available. Those splits are so good. But yeah, this looked absolutely terrible for Protoss a couple minutes ago. And now all of a sudden, things are looking a little bit better, right? And this is kind of what these Protoss players do at the highest level. They seem to have like 4 units when you look at their base and you see a massive Terran army moving out. And then by the time that the Terran player arrives, they've already done like additional warp-in rounds, right? And usually those big hitters, they will finish up right at the perfect moment. And combined with batteries and battery overcharge, usually they seem to be able to hold on. But when you first look at the army supplies, you're just wondering how in the world that's ever gonna go well for Protoss. But I've now seen this so many times that I've stopped doubting it. Okay, come on, Zoun. We're not bowling here, okay? What was that? It's not gonna happen. Couple zealots over here trying to create a distraction. So maybe he was trying to, you know, trying to see if he could get a lucky hit in with those zealots, maybe forcing the attention of the Protoss or of the Terran rather in a different place. I mean, obviously Purification Nova, so the Disruptor spell, it's just cooldown based. So, I mean, yep. May as well try. So this obviously signals as well to ByuN that there is an observer nearby. There's only so many locations where it can really be. Impressive defense so far, though, actually, by Zoun in this particular game, right? Really nicely done. Yeah, this is difficult. If you're ByuN right now, I mean, you can go for a push. I almost feel like you have to start doing that ByuN thing where you multitask a lot. Maybe go for a little bit of, okay, with the Protoss army. Yeah, moving forward. I mean, if I saw a bunch of the Terran army moving back to the natural. Oh, God. Okay. Jimmy and his pals sadly end up flying through the skies there. But I almost feel like you, as ByuN over here, you need to start doing some multitasking. Because you can see this small Terran army can hold itself decently well against this Protoss force. If you can start dropping inside of the main base, for example, that would not be a bad idea. Yeah, Zoun is just trying to hit strikes. I mean, to be fair, one strike and the game is over. There have been a lot of warp-ins over here for this Protoss player, and he is, yeah. Oh my God, he's going to be able to break this position right now as well. ByuN, once again, overstaying his welcome there for a little bit. I like it. That said, there's a lot of units right now coming in from the natural. Ooh, the terrain once again. Oh my God, man. Those splits are actually so nuts. I just want to emphasize how easy it is to lose literally everything. Good bowling skills there as well, though. It's very easy to lose everything on accident, but... Alright, so we're backing off. Neither player really significantly ahead at this stage in the game. Fourth Nexus obviously has finished up as well. Usually it's the Protoss player in this matchup that expands a little bit faster. So nothing too out of the ordinary there. ByuN obviously has got those mules that will supplement his income really nicely. Jimmy, don't do it! You've got so much to... Never mind. Man, he's trying to be so cheeky with those Disruptors. I can almost guarantee you... Oh, yes! I was just going to bring it up, man. I was going to sound so smart as well. I could almost guarantee you is what I was going to say, that at some point he's going to take a big hit. And he did. 6 probes going down, but 2 Liberators get picked up as well. Zoun just... Zounded his opponent? No, Lowko, a bit of a stretch. Yeah, I tried. Do I get credits for trying? No, but that's the downside, right? Like, if you're a Terran player, you can defend really nicely 17 times, but if you don't do it the 18th time, it doesn't really matter. Like, Protoss is still going to be pretty happy with it. That said, previously, ByuN was quite far behind economically. Right now, I mean, he's caught up in that quite nicely. He's got himself some decent upgrades as well. +3, +2 is going to finish up. Well, +2 armor, that is going to finish up. +2 attacks just finished already. He's only on 4 gases. So this is one of those things that a lot of Protosses have been doing, and I really quite like it, where you go for a very small amount of gas and you just really pile on the amount of gateway units, right? So for a long time, I mean, this is still a style you can do as Protoss, but for a long time we saw those really big hitters primarily, right? But these days the army compositions seem to be very gateway based, which I'm personally a big fan of. kind of the way that it is in StarCraft 1 as well. Just having really good core units. Okay, recall is going to be utilized right here because there's one medevac. Stalkers, can you intercept it? Yep. Once again, good defense. Yeah. Very nice defense, actually. Okay, so what exactly do you do right now if you're ByuN? Well, I think if you're ByuN here, you try and add on, indeed, ghosts. So ghosts are going to add, yeah, a real punch to this particular army. I like it. And you just try and continue macroing up here, right? So taking the 4th base here is really quite important. These siege tanks are in absolute critical positions as well. Very difficult for this Protoss players to break, or this Protoss player rather to break. I don't think you can really go in there at all if you're Zoun. Zoun could obviously walk around, but this map is quite choky, right? There's a lot of choke points here. Once again, Disruptor trying its very best. Okay, grabbing a Ghost right there as well as a Marauder. I think something else maybe as well, but Ghosts and Marauders are quite expensive, especially the Ghosts. Yeah, I think what you do is you try and get more upgrades going, and you just try and max out. So that's exactly what he's doing. So notice as well that Protoss has been basically upgrading off of just a single fort this entire game, whereas ByuN is happily macroing up on 2 NG base, right? So he's going to soon be 3 upgrades ahead, and that's really going to make those Marines and Marauders quite a bit stronger. Now, obviously, it doesn't really matter for the Disruptors how many armor upgrades you have, because everything dies regardless. But at least in theory, ByuN's army can definitely start, taking this much easier, especially when the +3 infantry weapons finishes up. Okay, he's going to be able to stack. Oh my god, massive snipes right there by ByuN. He loses some army as well, but he grabbed himself a lot of those Disruptors at the same time. A new army over here on the left side is going to be able to pick up the Nexus, and that's exactly the type of move that ByuN needs. A couple of Zealots over here coming in from the run-by, and those will also be cleaned up. Okay, ByuN actually making some power moves there. Sniping the Disruptors, sniping another Nexus, and then cleaning up a lot of those Zealots. Very nice. Plus, of course, he just secured himself a 4th. Very good. Okay. Yeah, the attack upgrade for those Marines is significantly more important than the armor upgrade, especially against Protoss, just because a lot of the Protoss units will one-shot you regardless of what you're doing. I did see the extended thermal lens coming up as well for the Protoss, but I don't see any Colossi anywhere. Okay. No! Oh my god, that one medevac had 1 health. Once again, couple Disruptors left by themselves. Oh my god, they all get sniped. Only 2 of them remain right now. That's 13 Disruptors that got killed. There have been some very cheeky Disruptors in this. Oh, okay. Is this really the Scout? Really? Poor Scout. I mean, I understand the idea here, ByuN, but that really did seem a little bit rude. Oh, well. This is a banger of a TVP right now. I like it. Very close. You can see how evenly these guys are, right? As far as, like, skill level goes. How evenly matched, I guess, they are. Dark Templar right now is a follow-up as well. This is a good fight, though, for our Protoss player, I think. Same time, Zealots over here inside of the natural. Big warp in the main base, maybe? He doesn't have that much money, but yeah, he's decided to go for that regardless. Base on the left. How's this one going to be cleaned up? Well, I think it will be, unless the recall here completes, which, yeah, will end up happening here. It's only a Stalker. Well, actually, there's a couple Immortals in there as well, which is nice. Zealots inside of the main base. They're starting to get some work done as well. 12 SCVs were killed at natural. Bottom right-hand corner now, though, after that recall, is a little bit vulnerable as well. So ByuN decides to stim forward in that direction. Only 1 shield battery over there, but I think it will be cleaned up. At the same time, okay, a couple of the siege tanks will get sniped. 17 SCVs end up going down very shortly. Ooh, massive Disruptor hit there, though. Cleans up most of that Terran army. Whew. Siege tanks on the high ground in a vulnerable position, though. Yeah, I quite like that Disruptor hit there. He's going to be able to get all of those tanks relatively easily. Is there actually just way too much Protoss right now? I mean, there is a Planetary Fortress on the... no. There's a Planetary Fortress helping out. A couple siege tanks there on the low ground helping out too. The problem is, this is where ByuN's production is, right? Like, all of those units, when they pop out of the barracks, they're being killed pretty much right away. And this is super painful. Yeah, ByuN is going to be forced to send a couple of those Marauders inside of the main base as well to clean up those Zealots. But this obviously allows Zoun to now cycle around as well. Siege Tank's actually not moving. ByuN, you really need to send those in the direction of the natural expansion as well. Right now, it's going to be very difficult to get those in the right place. All right, well, Zoun looks like he's backing off, expecting those Siege Tanks to already be in position. So, yeah, ByuN was given the benefit of the doubt right there. This Prism over here has been such a nuisance. Oh, my God. Can he go after... Oh, my God. I think he can go after the Siege Tanks here. Yep. Really nice move. He decides to now also move forward with the rest of the army. Big warp in there on top of all of the tanks. And I think that's it. Yeah, GG is cold. Zoun wins game number 1 with some beautiful moves. Man, high-level StarCraft. Isn't it fantastic? I'm sitting here with a big smile, man. It's so good. Yeah, both of these guys going for the classic suffocation strategy, right? Suffocation! No breathing! Don't... Well, actually, just drop the Medivacs and get the War Prisms in and just try and, like, hit them at several different angles all at once. Death by 1,000 cuts, right, is what it's called. And I think that's what... Yeah, we'll probably see a lot more going forward as well. The stark contrast, though, to this kind of level of StarCraft and what we saw back in, like, the early days of the game is insane. I remember thinking that, like, 2010 StarCraft 2 was very epic when players sat back for 20 minutes, made one big army, and then clashed once. I was like, whoa, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Look at them sitting behind their walls, making, well, units and doing nothing. He's sending out a thing to the watchtower. Wow, such action. That was Lowko back in 2010. Yeah, the game certainly has become a little bit better, huh? It was only a matter of time, I guess. And a matter of balance, but... Well, Protoss players will probably argue that Terran is OP. Terran players will argue that Protoss is OP. And, you know, just like that. Everything is A-okay again. The universe is back in balance. That's the wonderful thing about StarCraft, man. I see this all the time in the comment section as well. And not to roast any one of you in particular. But every once in a while I see like, oh my god, Terran ghosts! They're so broken and overpowered. How are you even like, is it what? Blizzard, please, right? And then the Zerg players and the Protoss players are like, yes, we agree with you. You're 100% right. Basically, when you make any claims as far as balance go, you get like 2/3 of the community. You know, after you, at least 2/3 of the community that actively play the game because they probably agree with you. It's one of the beautiful things of StarCraft. You complain about the Roach being overpowered, Terran and Protoss players will agree. You talk about Disruptors being too strong, Zerg players and Terran players will agree. You talk about Marines being OP, well, guess who are gonna agree, huh? Zerg players and Protoss players, of course. It's pretty fantastic. This has been a thing since, well, probably Brood War. Or well, actually, probably the original StarCraft. Although, the original StarCraft 1 was definitely a little bit of a different game, huh? They added a lot of core units that are pretty hard to imagine the game without at this point. But, yeah. Anyways, as long as competition has been around, I guess, people have been doing this. Okay. A little bit of a cheeky adept. You gotta run for your life here. It's gonna be a Twilight Council follow-up. Triple CC opener right here from ByuN. So a little bit aggressive, huh? A little bit cheeky, a little bit greedy. Kind of in contrast to what we saw in the previous game. Double barracks into a command center eventually. And ByuN right now is just catching up, okay? Speed running his command centers in this particular game. I don't mind it. You can see right there that the shade is constantly moving forward as well. But the way that these structures are positioned a little bit closer to the command center, it just barely does not allow the vision right here that the Terran player, or sorry, that the Protoss player is looking for. Okay, he does decide to commit. A lot of these Terran units are indeed very soft. Yeah. I think he can get one more Marine if he's feeling really adventurous. You got to target perfectly, though. Is he going to get both? Oh, stop it. Zoun. All right. Yeah. I don't mind him running there, because losing a Stalker here is close to GG, whereas losing 2 Marines, it's like, yeah, okay. I mean, you don't want to lose the Marines. Don't get me wrong, Jimmy. You didn't hear that, okay? But since it's not an Oracle follow-up, I don't think he's really going to need it. Nah. Losing 1 Stalker is obviously not GG, but you do kind of have to replace it before, for example, going for the third Nexus, right? Because you don't have to, but it's very dangerous when you don't know exactly what it is that the Terran player is going for. In this particular instance, though, it's going to be a triple rec start with a triple command center as well. It's a nice little macro game. 2 Marauders coming up at a time. 2 Marines coming up at a time as well. Excuse me. Yeah, should be in for a bit of a more macro-focused start. Robo Bay, Forge, okay. Yeah, don't really expect to see a whole lot of action here in the near future. I mean, we do have the Blink upgrade, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if Zoun decides to move out with those units and, you know, pokes a little bit once again to try and maybe get some damage done, but there's definitely going to be units available to defend against that as well. Obviously, there's not going to be that many siege tanks, but the problem is Zoun at this point doesn't know exactly what he's going up against, so sending these Stalkers across the map, it would be dangerous, right? Because you never really know exactly what you're in for. At this point, though, a medevac drop would have already arrived, or it should have already arrived. Sometimes an anti-timing can kind of work out, but probably better not to. Anyways, at this point, Zoun probably knows as well that there's no siege tanks, right? So he should probably have a good idea of roughly what's going on. He hasn't technically seen... Well, now he's seen it. There you go. He hasn't technically seen too much right there inside of the main base. Did he just cancel? Oh, okay. It's just going to be Marine Marauder Medevac. Okay. A more of an old school strategy here. It's going to go Widow Mines, I think, as a follow-up as well. Meantime, or in the meantime, rather, on the other side of the map, we have the extended thermal lance coming up for the Colossus. And this time around, we're actually going to be seeing one of those laser boys as well, which I quite like. Where is it? There it is. Behold! The beauty of Protoss. Colossi are massive, man. I never realized how big they actually were in the lore. But when you think about it, right? A Marine apparently is supposed to be 180, so about 6 foot. Like 183, I think is 6 foot. Anyways. If you compare that to the size of a Stalker, like a Stalker is like the size of a house. Then a Colossus is like... right? Like a Colossus is big, man. And obviously the game is not necessarily to scale as far as the lore goes, but yeah, they're big. I think they're even bigger in the lore. I looked this up a little while ago, I think in a previous video as well, and it was like, I want to say like 90 meters? 98 meters maybe? Okay, hold up. I'm gonna look it up again. Okay, I got it completely wrong. So the height of a Colossus is 17 stories. That's the most American measurement I've ever read. Oh, is he gonna be able to get the Colossus? 17 stories? It's apparently approximately 51.8 meters. There you go. 17 Is stories an actual unit of measurement? Is that an actual thing? Because I'm pretty sure they're not standardized in the Netherlands, man. I feel like there's differently sized stories over here. I'm not sure. Anyways, their latest sighting was back in 2506, according to the StarCraft lore. So there it is. I've never used anyone using a measurement called stories. 17 stories. So that would be 51.8 meters apparently, which is like 160 feet. Something like that. I think. Yeah, something like that. It's a lot of feet, man. Yeah. For those of you that watch the live stream, you probably know by now that I will take the opportunity to roast the Imperial system when I see it. Look, I can't help myself. Okay, that's a lot of Colossi, though. Ooh, yeah. Colossi deal bonus damage against light. The only downside with Colossi openers usually is that when the Terran is, when the Terran player is doing a lot of multitasking, it can be difficult to clean all of it up. But against triple Colossus, I mean, you really do need to start getting some proper counters out. Okay, so finally we do see the startup right here on the starport of some Vikings. Second starport even will be constructed as well, which I do not mind at all. It's just that at this point, there's really not that much anti-Colossus available just yet. I mean, Marauders are good, don't get me wrong. Yeah, you gotta be very careful here as well. If you're Zoun, apparently he does decide to commit at this point. 4 of these Vikings are out. Is there gonna be enough right now, though, for the Protoss to just power through? I mean, those Stalkers on the ground can obviously pick up the Colossi one by one. Mostly Marauders right now remain. SCVs, though, pulled away from the mineral line as well. Those Colossi would love to shoot some lasers at it. Okay, this 4th base, much too greedy. It is going to be cancelled. So, Colossi, once upon a time in the earlier days of StarCraft, for like the first, I would say, 6 years or so, they used to be good against everything. And these days, they're more of like a anti-light unit, meaning that they're not really that good at all against Marauders, but they're really good against Marines. So they've become more specialized. Which makes a lot of sense. One of the better changes, actually, they've ever made to StarCraft. So, usually, Immortals are really good against Armored, so against Marauders, whereas Colossi are really good against Light. So, getting a mix of the two was probably the idea. These days, though, Colossi are usually followed up with Disruptors. Can't blame the Protosses. It's a good strat. Prism once again on the other side of the map. Looks like we do have a big fight over here in the center. I'm surprised we've had so few Disruptor hits, man. I'm pretty sure Zoun probably wins all of his ladder games with like one really juicy hit on those Disruptors. Like the first 7 will maybe be dodged, but then there's one really big one and then the attack moves. Not so easy against someone of the caliber of ByuN. Must be really frustrating to play against as well, by the way. Ooh, we have a bit of an awkward base race right now, though, because all of the Terran army is on the other side of the map, whereas the Protoss player is currently hitting the 3rd base of the Terran. 3rd base is definitely going to be in trouble, but the same can be said on the other side of the map. This is where that Disruptor production is coming up, though. I would love to see ByuN target firing at that pylon. Just get rid of all of that production. Okay, Colossi will be recalled. Where are they going to? They're going to the natural expansion. Very ballsy move. One of the Colossi goes down right as it spawns in. Disruptor, though, does get a massive hit, and I think there's just barely enough here for Zoun to clean this up. That was... I don't think that was the correct location to recall. Because you don't really have a lot of control as to, like, where the units pop around that nexus. Meaning that if both of the Colossi and then also, like, you know, the Disruptors spawned right on top of the Terran army, I mean, the Terrans would have just killed it, right? One of the Colossi right there and one of the Disruptors spawned in the back of it. I think you want to recall to the 3rd. It depends, obviously, on whether or not you have energy available. If you just, like, panic and say, for example, you have all your Nexi hotkeyed on, like, hotkey 4, right? Which is probably what Zoun has. He would probably hit 4, then recall hotkey, and then, you know, click this army. It will always recall to the closest by Nexus at that particular time that has enough energy. So maybe it wasn't intentional, but it looks like it just barely worked out right there for him. A very risky recall. Ooh, okay. One hero zealot over here. My life for ire! Ah! SCVs, kill them all! Poor guy, man. Well, his buddies left him alone. Just slicing up a couple of SCVs there. Have you ever thought about how inconvenient it would be to have swords for arms? I'm just, you know, letting that one hang for a little bit. A lot of things you can't do, man, when you have swords for arms. I guess they have the Kala, though. Well, actually, no. No, actually, no, they don't. It is, by the way, a double forge research this time around from Zoun, which I quite like. Terran's currently at +2/+1. Yeah, it's gonna make that bio-based army for the Terran player quite a lot more vulnerable to things like Zealots and Stalkers as well. Okay, so this is a good move, though. ByuN should probably be able to kill that Nexus, although, yeah, he wants to set up a bit of a concave over here as well. Oh my god, well, this is a very slow committed... Yeah, a little bit of indecisive decision-making right there by ByuN, though. Ugh, I feel like he could have easily killed that Nexus or gone after the army. Right now, he's taking a lot of damage and he didn't kill the base. Yeah, he's going to be forced to lift up and get on out of there. I don't think I like that too much. Maybe if we would have gotten the Nexus, it would have been better. Even that, though. Like, this Nexus is pretty much dead for as it is. Anyway, it's actually got a couple thousand minerals at it. You obviously want to kill it if you can, but I don't think Zoun would have rebuilt it. He's going to instead favor the base at 12 o'clock position. 6 o'clock right now has been acquired by the Terran as well. Man, we've got 2 back-to-back macro games. Very cool. Planetary is going to finish up very shortly, but it's not done yet. Well, there it goes. It's going to start gunning down those zealots. The swordmen with arms for... or swords for arms, rather. Yeah, this is when you really want to get rid of all those choke points really badly, because those Disruptors and Colossi are going to have a field day. There they come. 1, 2. There's the third one. No, there's actually... there's 5 of them. Oh, big hit. And another big hit. And I think there might just be enough Protals right now then to just... Okay, another big hit. Yeah, to just go after this. That being said, there's a lot of Terran units that just spawned inside of the main base. They just popped out of the unit-producing structures. These Disruptors somehow, some way managed to sneak out of there. All of the big Protals heavy hitters have been cleaned up, but he did get 33 SCVs here as well, as a couple of Zealots were also working on the third base. I think a bunch of them ended up dying in the natural. So, trading all the expensive units right here for eco and army. The thing is, Terran's Marines and Marauders are much easier to remake than, like... Well, he's still... These Disruptors, man, they were on a journey. They came up right there, and then they walked all the way down, and now they're somehow some way back home. If they would have gotten picked off as well, I think I would have favored that. Maybe? No, actually, no. Terran still lost a lot of... No, he lost a lot of SCVs. Still think that would have been actually fine for Protals, but... Would have been a little bit more playable for ByuN for sure. Right now, I mean, he still has 60 army supply. Without Disruptors, this would have been very different. A lot of that supply, though, is also a Medivacs. Ooh, couple Colossi actually awkward to re-rallied right now. Okay, that's one of them going down. Second one. It does get picked up, but right now, all the supply here for the Terran player is pretty much a Medivacs. Zealots, once again, send on over towards the third base. Reinforcing Marauders are now available. Okay. What Zoun needs to do at this point is just buy enough time, right? So Zoun knows he's got the eco lead. He's basically getting like twice as much income. Okay. Yeah, he just needs to buy time to make a bigger and bigger and bigger army. ByuN recognizes the situation, though, that he's in. And just like that, it is Zoun who wins 2-0 over ByuN. I hope you enjoyed watching today's video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. It takes about 1 second, and maybe this video will get picked up by the YouTube algorithm. If you do want to see more, though, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the little bell icon, so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. Today, I want to give a special shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you very much for all of your generosity. I appreciate it. But for now, thanks for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile. And I'll see you once again in the next one.